Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Black Book Podcast. Today, I have Mr. Skinny OG with us. And Skinny, dude,
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this or not. I don't know, because we're on, using video chat. We've actually met before. You know what I'm saying? I
Oh
don't know.
yeah.
You stayed in my apartment before in Beijing.
What?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Back in 2017.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've been to BJ.
We got a mutual friend. She's your Soro. She doesn't live in
Okay.
she doesn't
Yeah.
live in
All
China
right.
anymore. Yeah.
No, she don't. She don't. Yeah, bruh. Okay, I remember now.
Yeah.
That was a nice little weekend.
Yeah,
Very
that was a while
lively.
back. Yeah. So that's when I first met you and stuff like that, and then you told me about who you were and like how you got to China and everything like that. So now I want you to get the opportunity to do that. Before we do that, can you just give us a short introduction about, who you are?
All right. So I'm a rapper here in China. I'm an entrepreneur. I put on shows. I host events. I keep the cause moving forward out here. See myself as a hip hop ambassador, just spreading the culture, trying to make sure the culture been spreading before I got here. But my job, as far as I see it, is to try to keep it moving in a positive direction and make sure people get the facts right. You know, a lot of
Okay.
people get some of the shit twisted, and they got a lot of questions. Understandably, China is a very unique kind of country, and they love, a lot of people love hip hop out here. You got millions of hip hop fans, but they don't know as much as they should know about the history of the
Mm,
culture and where it comes from, or why it is the way it is. Like, you see a lot of situations going on in America, a lot of situations going on in the world in general for people of color, and they don't understand a lot of the particular aspects that lead to our idiosyncrasies. Why are we the
okay.
way we are? Why do we
Right.
do the things we do? Why are things this way or that way in the outside world? Because China is kind of its own world. So more than just making music, I see myself as an educator, hip hop ambassador, trying to represent the cause, represent who we are in the most positive light possible.
Okay. So before I get into some questions about how you do that exactly, just can you briefly, let's just go over like how you came to China and how long you've been here.
I've been here 5 years, and
Okay.
I got here because I had some friends who had been to China before, and they told me about, man. I mean, you love doing hip hop, and at the time, I had finished a stint in the army. I had just graduated from the University of Virginia, and I was kind of looking around to, where's my next stop going to be? Because I wanted to travel. I wanted to move a little bit.
Right.
And people were like, well, you might consider, China. It's lit out there. Hong Kong, Shanghai. It's got a lot of really nice places to go. So I started looking into it, and I saw they were right. I saw some videos. I read up on some materials, and I looked at the economics of it all, and I was like, yeah, this would be a nice place to launch some business ventures. So I came to China.
All right. And so you've been in China for 5 years now, doing your thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. So, when I first met you, it was back in 2017. You told me you were a rapper, and stuff like this, and you showed me your videos and everything like that. So, what's your rap name again?
Skinny OG.
All right, Skinny OG, right? So, like, why did you choose the name Skinny OG?
Well, I didn't choose the name. This is a name
Okay.
that was given to me, and
Well,
it's
how'd you get
like,
that?
well, growing up, I was always really skinny. I
Okay.
was really just I was always a skinny kid.
Right.
So
Okay.
I was always a skinny kid. So people always called me Skinny. That was just my
Right.
name. And then after years of being out and about and doing what I did, you know what I mean? People called me the OG. So I just put the two together, and it was Skinny OG.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
Like
So
really
that's
natural.
the origins of the name. Okay, I got you. I got you. All right. And so,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
tell me, like, so you came out here in China, but you didn't come out here and start rapping immediately. Like, how'd you get into the scene?
Actually, I did as soon as I landed. What happened
Really?
was, yeah, I like I said, I had some friends who told me about the scene. I had a couple of people I knew out here. So as soon as I landed, like that same week or the next week, I was going to my first hip hop events,
Okay.
and I got into there was a battle that was taking place. This radio station called Ninja Radio, and they were doing a hip hop battle, and so I went there and I won, you know,
Right
and
on.
the everybody who was there, that's when they started knowing who I was, and then they invited me to more events, and next thing I know, there was a hip hop band out here called the Foundation Band, really live shit. It was kind of like the Roots, but they didn't have no good MCs. I mean, not to diss the guys who was there already, but they wasn't the right caliber. So I took it upon myself to start forming them. You know what I'm saying? Training them. I kind of put my military training to use, and I started
Okay.
forming them, giving them exercise, putting them through the drills. Like, this is how we gonna get better. This is how we gonna do better shows, give a better performance for the people.
So you on some
And I became
Freddie Mercury, fucking Bohemian Rhapsody type shit. All right, okay.
man, I thought the band was big. There was a lot of people involved with the foundation, and shout out to all of them. There was DJs, producers, a lot of musicians, and
Right
some
on.
rappers. So I took
Right.
the rappers under my personal wing, and we formed what I call the Freestyle Kings. And so, because our whole thing was, any tune the band starts playing, we had to start rapping to it just to entertain the crowd. And so a lot of these dudes, didn't really know how to do that right. So I started
Right.
showing them how to write better songs and come up with songs on the spot. Like, you just the band start playing, and you take whatever's in your head and you turn that into a song on the spot immediately in like 5 seconds or less. And
Mm.
you get the other guys in. I come up with a hook, you guys drop some verses in there, or someone else come up with a hook and I start drop some verses in there. And these songs were sounding lit, you know what I'm saying? And so people started loving the show. We was getting like reviews in online magazines and blogs, and people coming from tourists coming through being like, "Oh yeah, I heard about y'all. My man who was in Shanghai last summer, or who told me about y'all, come to y'all show." Like, it was lit. And so that's
Okay.
what I did. And so
So
I just kept going from there.
y'all was on
Yeah.
some sounds like some wild and out type, type ish where like, you gotta be you just go off the dome and make it hot.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Exactly. That's a lot less. Yeah, that's how it was. And so, but I wanted to take it a step further and really like establish a music company. But
Okay.
working with so many people at the foundation, it was like too difficult. So I decided to take myself and my artists that I was working with, and we formed the
Right.
Blac Chyna Music Company.
Okay. Blac Chyna Music
Yeah.
Company. Okay, so you got artists
Mm-hmm.
signed.
Yeah.
Okay, so who else? So
And
besides
and
yourself, who's else? Who's signed on this company or
oh
label?
man. Yeah, signed is a big word. It's like these are artists I develop and artists I work with.
Okay.
There's Queen Diamond, aka Sadia B. There was Joe Stack. There's Real Rascal. There was AD. Like, over the years, I've fucked with a lot of artists. You know what I'm saying? I work with a lot of artists. I pulled a lot of artists in, and
Right.
some of them come, some of them go. But as long as we got the work to show for it, like, I got hundreds of songs, and I got these are the artists that we work with, and we make these songs. And at this point, it's more than just artists. I got engineers, I got designers and technicians and
Right.
dancers, and yeah. So it's a whole hip hop movement. We try to encompass all aspects of the culture: the dance, the art, the lyricism, the beat making, all of that.
Okay. And so like um I know you're out here you have singles and things like this. You have albums or
Yeah, yeah.
mixtapes?
Like,
Cuz I know
yeah, yeah.
On WeChat I see every now and then you post a single up and I listen to it and everything like that. but I never see an album.
Yeah, we put a mixtape out. The first mixtape we put out was 2 years ago,
Okay.
and that was the Queen Diamond mixtape,
Right. Okay,
produced
I
by
did hear about
myself
that.
and yeah, and DJ Sivley. So we put that one out, and then on our website we put out a few EPs. We got like four EPs on our website right now,
Oh, okay. I see. I
and
see.
yeah, and so because we're on so many different platforms, we don't put everything on the same platforms. We try
Okay.
to diversify it. So our EPs are on our website. The mixtape is like on, like I say, Audio Mac, and it's on Pyro,
Right.
and then we got some new albums coming up because I recently this year I started finally releasing some of my stuff overseas, like in the States on Spotify, Apple Music, and all that stuff. So we're
Mm.
preparing a new album that we're going to release on those platforms. But so far, it's just been singles.
Okay. So let me ask you about back about Black China Music Group. So Black China Music
Yeah,
Group, I know. Okay, so you're a black man who's also from America, and I know Queen Diamond
yeah,
is also a black woman from America. Uh,
yeah.
the other group members, are they also black, or are they Chinese, or where they coming
A
from?
lot of we got a lot of people from different countries, especially
Okay.
when I start counting all the musicians I work with. It's like
Right.
the United Nations up in here. And
Okay.
but a lot of the artists are Chinese because
Really?
one of the big things, yeah, one of the important things I saw when I came out here was people were really clicked up. So you had Chinese people who worked together, you had American people who worked together, you had um, African people from different countries who worked together. You
Mm.
had like you got your Russian people, you got your French people, and everybody was very on it in their own clique. And so my whole thing with the Blac Chyna movement, I was first of all, I want to fuck with a lot of Chinese people because they're my main target audience out here. Like
Right.
they're the ones who can be the most people coming to your shows, not
Right.
just rapping for the foreigners. I want to have all these Chinese people understand like if you're doing hip hop, like you got to pay homage to the ones who can tell you what it's really about. So I started messing with a lot of Chinese artists. I
Mm.
formed one of the first things I did was form a band called the Layla Ali Band, and Layla Ali was this rock guitarist I met, this Chinese girl, and so we started writing some songs. And next thing you know, we had a whole band formed around us with people from all over the world, and we was doing a lot of shows and shit like that. And I started drawing a lot of Chinese artists, rappers, and
Mm.
technicians and break dancers. And so for me, Blac Chyna music was really about bringing together diverse people from diverse countries, all under the same umbrella of making music and making, especially hip hop music.
Okay.
So yeah,
Cool.
we a lot of Chinese artists.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, man. That you got a diverse field of people. Especially, I'm especially glad that you're here. That you got Chinese people working with you on
Yeah,
the platform, man. Because I mean, like, yeah, we black, and you can easily cater to the black people here in China and everything like that. But I feel like you might feel the same way because I think a lot of people do, especially when you spend a lot of time here in China. Is that like you're not really tapping into anything if you're not if
yeah,
you're not like trying to move over and get into that Chinese market, because this is a huge country. This
yeah,
this is this is a country with one of the biggest populations of people, and if you
exactly.
can't get into that market, something is wrong. But I'm glad to hear you got that market.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
yeah, so you got Chinese fans. You have you're working with Chinese artists and technicians and things like that. Um, but you also mentioned that you help them understand like about what hip hop's really about, where it came from, why things are the way
Sure.
they are. So you sounds like you more of like you're sort of like this hip hop liaison, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
like
It's like, yeah, go ahead.
so how do you do that?
Well, it's like KRS said back in the day, you know what I'm saying? But I think he called it edutainment or some shit like that.
Mm,
And I go even further back to when one of the basic uh ethos of hip hop was, I remember when people used to say each one teach one, you
Mm,
know? And it's all about if you look at the hip hop scene in America, it tends to be to gravitate more towards like bling bling and bitches and hoes and drugs and gangster gang shit, you know. But out
right.
here in China, what you find is people tend to pay a lot more attention to, first of all, the Chinese government don't really like all that rah rah stuff, you know what I'm saying? So they
Yeah,
don't really particularly endorse that.
they'll shut that shit
So
down quick. Yeah.
yeah, they don't really endorse it that much. But what they will support is intelligent thought, education and stuff. So it's almost like if you take like you could take a video like let's say a Lil Pump video and throw that on a platform and it get like a few thousand views, or you take a Martin Luther King video and put that on the same platform and it'll get hundreds of thousands of views. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of
Right.
like they actually, people out here are actually more interested in some intelligent than something that's just rah rah for the sake of entertainment. So with that in mind, I find that young people always need to be educated because they're young. They don't know as much as older folks, first of all.
Mm,
So the fact that hip hop is such a youth orientated thing, you got a lot of kids with a lot of questions. Like they don't really understand how the world works. They don't know the history of the United States like that, but they love hip hop. So when they see
okay.
things happen, they're like, well, how come, what I'm saying, how come that cop had his knee on that man's neck for 8 minutes? What the hell is that about? And so you get a chance to really educate people from the ceiling all the way up to the heavens about like, yo, this shit is deep. Like we could go as deep as you want, as far back as you want. I'm
Right.
able to draw a lot of parallels from the experience of blacks in America to the experiences of the history of China. Because one thing a lot of kids don't know is China used to be like severely oppressed. Like they might learn a little bit about it in school, but China used to be very oppressed by the Europeans. And
Mm,
so back when China had turned communist back in the 1949, the early 50s, the only support that they were getting from overseas was mostly from African Americans. Like you
mm,
had people like Paul Robeson and Langston Hughes who were supporting China back when the US government had an anti-communist, anti-China policy.
mm,
So you had people like W.B. Du Bois coming out here, like important black figures lending their voice and support to China. And in return, China was supporting the black freedom struggles in America. Like
mm-hmm.
you had what's his name? Huey Newton and Stokely Carmichael. They would come out to China. You had the boxer Jack Johnson when he was on the run from the US authorities for a while. He came to China. You had well, I forgot his name. Damn, uh, uh, black civil rights leader Frank Williams. Who
Okay.
was advocating armed resistance. Uh, at the same time, when Malcolm X was doing it, Frank Williams was taking it a step further, but he was on the run from the U.S. authorities. And where did he come? He came to China. And the Chinese government was giving these people asylum, saying, yo, you good. You can stay out here as long as you want. F whatever the US government's saying about you. We understand what the freedom struggle is about. So you had this deep bond between the Chinese government and the black
Okay.
freedom struggles. You know what I'm saying? And you go to Africa, you see that it's the Chinese government who sponsored the first International Non-Aligned Movement Conference back in like 1956, which was an organization where they paid for all the African leaders to come out to Indonesia and have a conference where they're going to talk about how they ain't going to go with either the capitalist Western model or the communist Eastern model. They should follow their own route. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Develop Africa for themselves, their own benefit. And it's the chairman Mao who paid for that whole thing. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? So the Chinese government has a long history of supporting the black freedom struggles. So when people are less educated and they don't know all about that, they can see what's happening today, and they might believe just what the media portrays about Black people or about the Black freedom struggles or about the Black Lives Matter movement, and not really understand that there's a much deeper history about it. And here in China, their own history resonates with that. Because when China tried to come out and stand on their own 2 feet, they got attacked by 7 countries: the U.S., England, France, the bunch of European countries all tried to invade China to destroy the communist government. And these people had to fight a war for, you know what I'm saying, for a long time to get that off their back, get that monkey off their back.
Right.
So there's a really deep connection between the Black freedom struggles and the Chinese independence struggles. And so
Okay.
when I start talking to people, like I meet them wherever they're at. Like they might start with a question about what happened to George Floyd. And as deep as they want to peel back the layers, I go with them. I take them on that journey. So for me, hip hop, looking at the music today, a lot of the songs I make political songs. I make songs
Mm,
that talk about what's happening to Black folks and why hip hop is a representation of fighting against that history, that legacy of oppression.
mm.
And so when they talk about, the protests going on and this or that, I start telling them, well, y'all was protesting too, and we was helping y'all protest from way back. I start
Right.
pulling out pictures. I
I'm
start
glad
pulling
you
out
brought up.
documents and
That's good. I'm
yeah.
glad you brought up this topic, right? So like, you know, I try to ask a lot of people this question, especially on my guests, right? Sometimes I ask them this, which is, especially if they're from America, and
Mm,
we get to leave America, and we get to see how different places in the world work, and we have this
mhm.
totally different experience, or we get a totally different thought process and a view on America once we come back. So has that happened to you since you've been gone?
Yeah, yeah, I would say so. Except for 2 things. First, I haven't been back yet in 5 years, so I
Okay.
just avoided a lot of that Trump bullshit for the past 5 years. I was like, I ain't dealing with that shit right now.
Mm,
And also, I would say I kind of had this awakening before I came to China, because I always did travel. Like before I came here, I always traveled to other countries a lot when I was a kid. Like that's part of my life because my dad was in the United Nations. I was actually born in Cameroon
okay.
in West Africa, and my family moved to the U.S. when I was 1 year old. So then I grew up in New York. But then after that, I lived in France. I went back to Cameroon for a long time. I went to some different countries. So I always had this global view of like, oh snap. So this is what I'm supposed to believe, but this is what it really is. Like I always
Mm-hmm.
got a chance to see, like kind of like peek behind the curtain and see like, okay, what they're telling me is not the only version of the truth,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So yeah, I always had that double exposure to shit where I could see both sides of the issue, and I could always understand how there are more similarities between people across the world than there are differences. You know?
Right. Okay. So you use this sort of information to, fuel your hip hop slash rap style, and and educate the locals in China on hip hop culture and
Yeah,
Black culture, and the relations between Black Americans, or not just even Black Americans, but you did mention Africa, just Africans in
yeah.
general, because we are African no matter where you're from. Um,
Uh huh.
so you get a chance to educate them, through rap and stuff like that, and
Yeah,
um. But next, I want to ask you, man. So like, where can we find your music? Like I know a lot of times. So I have, obviously I'm in China, so I have WeChat. I see your music on WeChat. I also see your music
yeah.
on Chinese platforms like QQ and what's the other one? Wang
Wang
in
Yi,
China.
net
Yeah,
ease.
in Wang Yi, Chinese is called Wang Yi, but the English is called NetEase Music. Yeah, so I see them on there. But what
Yeah.
else are you on? 'Cause I know you mentioned Spotify and things like that, but
Apple
you could,
Music,
yeah.
iTunes. I put a lot of music on Pyro, which is a platform because, like I said, I make political songs, and sometimes the bigger Chinese platforms don't allow my songs because I'm going hard. I'm going extra hard. So I put
Okay.
those on a platform that's called Pyro, and that's also a platform available here in China, but it's a smaller platform, so
Mm,
they don't censor it as much.
okay.
And like I said, the stuff I've been putting out on Apple Music and iTunes, I just started that this year. So we release one song every week, and so right now we've been doing it for a few months. So got maybe like 20 songs up on these platforms, Spotify, iTunes, and all that stuff.
Okay.
So you type in Skinny OG, and you'll be able to find my stuff on those platforms now.
Cool. So if I'm in China, um,
Mm.
and I want to go see a Skinny OG or somebody from Blac Chyna music group, I want to go see them perform. Where can I go? Where do I have to go?
Oh man, we all over the place. We all
Okay.
over the place. We do shows all over the country. Um, Mostly, I'm based in Shanghai, so I do a lot of stuff locally. But there's so many venues that like open their arms to us over the years. And music spots, music venues open and close all the time. Some are gone now.
All right.
Currently, I do a lot of shows at a spot called Lo-Fi's. That's one place I do a lot of shows. Um, I do a lot of one-off events at different places. We threw a Black Lives Matter event recently at Cyclo, which is a really bumping spot here in Shanghai called Found 158. They got a lot of clubs and restaurants in one small area. And so we do a Black Lives Matter event down there a couple weeks ago. I got another event, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. We did a
Mm,
Black Panther party when the Black Panther movie came out a couple years ago. So this one we're calling it the Black Panther, the Wakanda Forever party,
okay.
and it's kind of like a memorial for Chadwick Boseman, and we're doing it at a roller skating rink. That's going to be in 2 weeks. A place called the Rink. Just like the name implies, it's a
Christopher.
roller skating rink.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Cool.
and so we do a lot of events in a lot of cities. Recently, I did 5 days in Nanjing, a small mini tour in Nanjing a couple weeks ago
Right
during
on.
the October holiday. Um, I was in this year. I've been to at least six, 7 cities, and that's actually slow for me because of the virus. It really slowed things down for this year.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's about 6, 7 cities so far this year.
Okay. And
And
so,
usually by this time in the year, I would have been like, you know, 5 times that number.
okay. Right, right, right. So, where can I learn more about Skinny OG? Where can I follow you? You got a website? What's your social media name?
Yeah,
Can you list that off?
yeah. The website is www.blacchinamusic.com,
Okay.
and I'm on Instagram. Not as much as I should be probably, but I'm on Insta, skinnyog_BCMC. Um, like I said, I'm on iTunes and a bunch of Chinese platforms, of course. Wanyi, QQ, Pyro, Xiaomi Music, Kugo, like all the major Chinese platforms. I got stuff on there.
Right, right, right. Okay.
And yeah, yeah, I'm all over the place. If you type in Skinny OG in a couple of places, there might be more than one that pops up, but I'll be one of them. I'm on a
Okay.
lot of platforms right now.
Okay. Cool. All right, man. And uh, we just getting ready to wrap up. So usually before I wrap up, um, I always ask my guests, or always give my guests the last word. So now I'll
Mm.
give you the floor. You can say whatever you want to say, and then we'll end.
All right. Well, let's see. What can I say? Hey, it's all about that hip hop. It's where we from. It's what we about. We represent for the culture all day long. A lot of my songs are all about. You got titles like I work with concepts. Like I try to take people a bit deeper. So I got a song called "What If Trayvon Had a Gun That Night." You know, I have a song called if it, which discusses. It's called "We Wouldn't Be Here Now," and it's all about we can be mad at what has happened to us in the past, but isn't it ironic that if it wasn't for all the crazy, messed up things that
Mm,
happened in our history, right now we wouldn't be here right now. Like who knows where we would be, you know? and we just got to take the good with the bad and keep it moving and try to make a better future for all of us. So I got a song called "Make the World a Better Place." I had a song called "Stop Putting Garbage in the Sea." You know, I really try to touch on a lot of those deep topics that most rappers don't talk about. But I do it in a way where the song is dope. You know, I make the song bumping. I don't like making boring ass, corny ass songs.
Right.
So I think I found a good way to balance the two of those. So if you get a chance, find my music on different platforms. And like I said, we're just releasing one song a week. So I got hundreds of songs. So at this rate, I'm gonna be releasing songs on Spotify and Apple Music and all that and iTunes for the next few years. Like I already got those songs made, and if you follow, if you find me on those platforms, you're gonna get to hear a lot of shit over time. Just be patient. One song a week. If you're not in China, if you don't have access to the Chinese platforms, you can't really hear my whole catalog right now. The Chinese people can, but for the outside world, y'all just be patient. It's coming. It's coming.
Absolutely. All right. Well, man, I appreciate you a whole lot, man. And for those listening, remember, I'm EC. This is Skinny OG, and this is a Black Book Podcast. Man.
I'm just on a mission. I'm trying to live my dream.